Well, good evening, everybody. It is Brad.
And I'm Christa.
With the Big Family Homestead. The crowd goes wild, and there are virtual explosions happening all around us. No explosions. We changed computers, and the explosions have been not present nor accounted for.
Deleted.
Click, click. Yeah. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have got a lot of fun stuff planned.
Do we?
We do. We're going to be talking a lot about chickens.
Mm-hmm.
Chickens. And we're going to talk about chickens. We're going to talk about a giveaway that we're going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, we had a bake-off with the Living on a Dime channel. And I know it's not official, but I say we soundly beat them. Totally.
Yeah.
Our cake rocks.
How is that determined anyway? Who won?
Well, I decided.
Do we count
I decided it. No.
Do we count the comments?
We didn't actually get that far to think it through that far.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that later, but there's something funny about that too. But also there's some Thrive Life stuff. We've got to tell you about what we're going to bake on Thursday, which will be live. Mm-hmm. But right now we're going to say hi to a few people. Mama, say hello.
Well, Patrick Bear, SMG, Mary Brown, Louise Martin, Tyler Woods, Pam Burt, Verna Helvick, Tammy Time Qualls, Alicia, Phoebe Long, Della, Peachy, Paige Moyer, Whitetail Hollow Acres, Nathan Myers, Danielle Dean.
And many more.
Thank you for joining us this evening.
Mwahaha, let me tell you why we've gathered. No. It's chicken time. Okay, so here's the thing. How many of you guys here have currently chickens? They can either be meat birds or layers, or you have had chickens. I see that Philip Snyder here says he has over 100 chickens right now. And we have had probably 10 years of chickens?
No. Maybe
8?
7 years. 6-7 years of chickens.
I say 8.
No, because we had our first chickens in
Cincinnati,
2011. 8 years. You're
17, 18 years, whatever.
Do the math.
However the math works.
Yeah, right.
Right. And so we have had successes. We have had failures. We've got a lot of book stuff to share with you, and I think this year will be our biggest year.
Why?
Sheer numbers. Because we just ordered some meat birds today.
We did. We just ordered 60 more meat birds. So.
And then we have 22 layers.
22 layers and 1 rooster.
Who's a jerk? He's a jerk.
Let's call him Jerkface.
What was the name? Oh no,
I can't say the name.
She picked out a very French-sounding name, if you know what I mean.
It was very French-sounding.
Very colorful metaphor.
Yeah, he's not a very nice rooster. He does his job, but he's still not a very nice rooster.
Yeah, I had to put him in his place one time.
That was not a good.
Because he was clawing the kids, and I'm like, okay, I understand. You can come after me. I'm just gonna shoo you back or whatever. Right. He doesn't scare me, but the kids got to get in there sometimes to help out with food and watering, and I was like, no. I went in there, and now he doesn't really kind of come around me anymore.
No, he's starting to learn his boundaries. But we actually, should we go into what we did today?
Well, let's start. You know what? We will talk about that. But why don't we start with why did we get involved in chickens? And you guys, by the way, please consider this chat open for discussion. Add comments. Talk about your experiences, answer each other's comments, because we'll only be able to hear a certain amount of it.
Right.
Because we'll look down,
right,
and we'll try to talk, but sometimes we'll miss comments and we don't mean to.
Right.
So why did we get involved in chickens?
Well, we got involved first off with laying hens, because eggs you can get organic,
yeah. Free-range eggs are expensive.
Well, you can get eggs, at the store for 99 cents a dozen. Probably not much anymore. I think they're up at like $1.40-ish. But anyway, but those are going to be the pale yellow yolks where those chickens are kept in a cage that's this big, and there's going to be very little nutrition in them. Then you go to the cage-free eggs. Well, that just means they're not in this little cage, but they're in one of those big hoop houses. So they get to roam around.
They give you the impression that they're outside enjoying the weather and the sun. They're not.
No. What you want to do, what you want to find are free-range chickens.
Organic, and then you're talking
Organic,
$6 a dozen.
No.
Oh, that's what they are. I saw.
They are. I've seen them for $4 a dozen, but still $4 a dozen. That's insane. So we decided to get into, getting our own chickens for laying eggs, where we can buy, a couple of 100 pounds of feed that lasts a month for the 20 some birds we have, and we get almost 2 dozen eggs per day.
Right. Well,
So
let's go back though, Mama.
Yeah.
I want to start at the very beginning.
Okay.
The very beginning.
Well, that was the reason why, is so that we could have our eggs a lot cheaper.
There's something before that though. I think you're forgetting. We saw a movie called Farm Inc.
Yeah.
And that movie was horrifying and made me mad and made me sad all at once. Same thing with Mama, and it was called Farm Inc. And it showed how these animals are raised and abused and diseased, things from beef, chickens, and it basically shook me to the point where I'm like, if we're going to eat this stuff, we're going to raise it ourselves.
Right.
Because it was honestly, the decision was, I am not going to be a part of the abuse of these animals and let these people make a ton of money off of abusing these animals. And so the decision had to be, I see somebody saying your mic is breaking up sporadically.
I'm not wearing a microphone.
I'll change something here in a second, guys. And hopefully that'll change that for us. But we made the decision that if the chicken was going to be in our diet, eggs and meat, we were going to take care of it, because the way that our philosophy is on the chickens is that they are going to be well fed with good food, fresh water, clean area to live in, and they're only going to have one bad moment. That's it. And we even take care of that. Like when we have to process a bird, we do it as painless as possible. As a matter of fact, we do it in a way that would be considered kosher. And why don't you talk to that, and I'm going to try to change the microphone.
Okay. Say that again.
Kosher.
Oh yeah. So we want to make sure that our chickens are being processed in a kind way. So we process them in a kosher way. Oh, it locked up.
It locked up. Hopefully it'll come back. It can still hear us. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. So doing a plant processes of chickens, they're just completely abused and thrown around, and it's just not a healthy way for them to live. So our chickens are outside. They are. I can't really say they're free range just because we have to keep them in a fence, but they are outside. They have access to fresh grass and whatnot. And then the way we process them is a kosher way to do it. What?
It was working, and then I think you can still hear it. We're going to try and I'm trying to work some driver issues, guys.
Yeah, sorry. And then, we do you want me to talk?
Keep going, yeah.
Okay. So how we process them is the way a kosher meat processing would process them.
Right.
We don't cut the head off, because what that does is that immediately stops the heart. And then, yes, while you see blood coming out, not all of the blood comes out of the chicken. So what we need to do is you just need to cut the arteries after you've hung them upside down, and that way the heart keeps pumping all of that blood out.
Right, exactly. And what we do is, because we have a system that in which The whole family helps.
Yes.
The first thing we do is we get all of our tools ready. We get a table out, and we got to make sure that you have water. And then Mama, she does one part of it, which is the eviscerating.
I clean them out.
The kids will bring me the birds, and I do the actual deed. I get them calm, and I put them in what's called a kill cone, and I calm them down, and then they're in there snug, not so that they're crammed in. And then I just nick the arteries, and they don't even know what's happening. Use a really sharp knife, and you nick that artery, and then they don't even know what's happening until it's too late. It's just gone. They're just gone.
Yeah.
And then I will dunk them in some boiling water when they're dead, in order to be able to pluck them easy.
Right.
And but let's go ahead and go back, because even before that, when we get everything set up, the very first thing we do, and a lot of people would go, no, that's kind of weird. Actually, I think it's the best way to do it at all, is we circle around and we pray, and we thank God for providing us with this food. And we're grateful, and we pray that we don't cause the animals any undue stress or any undue pain. I make sure that knife is as sharp as a razor, and hopefully they are as peacefully done as possible, because they've got their whole life they're just cared for, and then that's that.
Right. SMG is asking, would electrocution be better on the chicken? I'm gonna say no. That would cause. I would think that would cause extreme pain, and it might damage.
It would cook the food.
It would cook the meat, and we don't want to do that. We calm the chicken down as the blood is being pumped out of the body, and then that last second, it's just done.
Yeah.
It's there's no pain.
Right, exactly.
I mean, or I shouldn't say there's no pain. There's very little pain.
Right. And
electrocution probably would I would think that would be extremely painful.
Well, and Sally Cox is saying most humane ways to put a thumb behind the neck and pull, snaps there, no flipping around. Here's the thing about that. Then you're leaving that blood in that meat too long, and it's actually going to deteriorate the flesh in a way that you really don't want. Yeah, it's not going to flip around. I get that, and that's disturbing. It's disturbing if you've ever seen it. A little story. One time, Ruth, our youngest daughter, she was too young to participate.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, she's too young. We don't want her seeing the blood, because what happens is when they're in that cone, you nick them and they start bleeding, and it takes probably about. It's not
less
long.
Than a minute. It's less than a minute.
It's like 30, 40 seconds.
Yeah, there was a question, how long before they die? It's really only 30 or 40 seconds.
Yeah.
It doesn't take
and it's
long at
only in the last like 10 seconds that they flop around. Right. Because at that moment they realize something's wrong.
Right, but before we put them in, we have to hold them by their legs to be able to get them in the cone. So they're flapping their wings around, and Ruth sees this.
Well, and we didn't. She was supposed to be inside watching TV.
Watching a movie, yeah.
And then we're out there processing, and I'm not even thinking about it. And then I go inside to get something, and she's standing there, and she's flapping her arms like this, like she was watching the chicken. Fortunately, it did not scar her for life.
Not at all. No, not at all. It was just really, really funny. But, they're flapping their wings when you're getting ready to put them in there, and she sees that. She thinks that's the most funny thing ever.
Yeah.
So.
Well, here's the thing, and just to answer or to speak to Sally Cox, or Spaz Mama, I've seen on a video on processing, it's gross. Well, here's the thing. With the way we do it, it pumps the blood out of the bird, and it's in all of the ways we've researched, it's the best for the meat and is painless for them until that last few seconds. They don't even know what's going on until it's the very end.
Yeah. Question, hold on. Philip Snyder is asking, my hens are getting rode too much. What should I do? Well, my question is, how many roosters do you have, and how many hens do you have? We have, I had always seen that if you have 10 roost or 10 hens, you should have at least one rooster. I think that's not the right amount. We have 22 hens and one rooster, and they're fine. They're not scarred up. They're not, completely bald because they're, the rooster's going crazy all the time. But oh, then you have too many. Oh no, that's Maggie. Sorry.
Well, and there's a good suggestion here too. Verna Helvig is saying, give them more room to be able to get away from him
or pen him up. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we've kind of come to the conclusion that we really didn't need a rooster.
Right. But, we found that we really should have at least one, because why is my audio fading in?
I think it's on this. Let's try and put this computer between us.
Okay. You should have at least one rooster for herd protection. That's really what it is. They are out when, our chickens are outside, and we have predators here. We have coyote and fox and bear, and and hawks. We have hawks constantly. So we want to make sure that those hens are protected. So that rooster is going to keep them safe.
Well, he ain't going to keep them safe from a coyote.
Well, but he can try. I mean, he comes after us.
Yeah, but the rooster, okay, we're kind of torn on it because, in all honesty, we got him initially thinking that he would help protect the flock.
Right.
With the predators that are out here, I don't think so. I just don't think so. And he's kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah, but I would rather have him to keep hawks okay. So I was too far from the computer.
Yeah, I'm trying to turn it.
The computer is what the microphone we're using.
The rooster. Well, but the other thing is that, now I know because I'm looking at a lot of the names here, and I know some of the names here, and I can see that I know that a lot of you guys are preppers as well as homesteaders, and we honestly got the rooster in the event that we could not resupply with chicks.
Right.
We wanted to make sure that we had a viable option to keep the flock at a certain level.
Right.
And so that's the main reason why we keep him. Mm-hmm. Honestly, the main reason.
Right. Okay, Philip is saying he has 40 roosters and 70 hens. You need to process some of your roosters. You have way too many. Mm-hmm. That's why your hens are getting rode too much. You need to reduce that to at least less than about 7 roosters.
Pick the 7 best ones.
Pick the 7 best ones and put the other ones in freezer camp. Honestly, that's way too many.
Yeah, and so that's why we initially got into chickens. Now, I'll tell you this. Jokingly, in the homesteading community, we call chickens the gateway drug.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
The reason why chickens are the gateway drug is because once you get chickens, you're like, oh, wow, this isn't so hard. They're great. We should get rabbits, and then we should get goats, and then we should get this, and then we should get that.
I think we got the goats before the rabbits.
We got the rabbits as another prepping kind of thing.
Right, because that's a fast meat production.
Right. And if you let's say that you're a prepper and you're looking for a source of protein, there's a lot of positives to rabbits. Because number one, you can keep them anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're in a planned community,
neighborhood, an HOA, very suburban area. You can still have rabbits
because they're considered pets.
They're not. Yes, they are not considered agricultural according to the USDA. So any HOA cannot tell you cannot have rabbits.
Yeah, and when you talk about the ROI, the return on investment with rabbits, if you're looking to produce meat, then there's no better animal that you can keep, and they're not nasty.
Right.
They're not. I mean, the worst thing if you got a bad rabbit is they might bite you or scratch you, but there's not a lot of violence in a rabbit.
No, not really. Not really. And their poo is a great thing to put in the garden.
Right.
You can grow it fantastically.
Yeah. You can.
Oh,
Sure you can.
but rabbit poo is not a hot fertilizer. So you can put it right at the bottom of, of your plants, and it's not going to burn them. There's not a lot of nitrogen in it. So I was just being silly. It was a bad joke. Sorry.
Well, tonight's supposed to be about mainly chickens. So
Right.
let's get back to chickens. That was my fault. I got sidetracked because I could talk about prepping for months and months and months.
True.
But chickens, there are tons of breeds of chickens. Some are really great for laying. Some are really great for meat.
Yep.
Some are really great for showing if you're into that. Is that the FFA thing? Is that FFA? Is what
FFA, yeah.
Yeah. Or, at county fairs and festivals. I would not use those. I call them the frou-frou birds, the ones with all the poofy things. Not the best layers.
No, I mean, you can get eggs out of them, but they're not a high production bird for eggs. Do we want to talk about different? I mean, there are tons of different breeds.
Well, let's talk about ones we have had and what they were good for and why we picked them.
Okay. Well, just to begin this, there are hybrid breeds and there are heritage breeds.
Define that.
Okay, a hybrid breed is where you take two different types of birds, or chickens, I should say, breed them together, and then you get another type of bird. So I got a Ricola in my mouth because I ran out of water.
Me too.
So you have the birds, the chickens that we have are called ISA browns, ISA browns. Now these are a hybrid bird, and they are a super high production bird. They can give you over 300 eggs a year. Huge ROI, return on investment. However, no, what I was going to say was, okay, so last summer we have 22 hens. There were several days where we would get 27 eggs out of 22 birds. That's amazing. That's a huge blessing. Okay.
Now there is a trade-off to having an egg layer that is so prolific.
There is a huge downfall. They don't live as long.
Right.
And they will pump out eggs for 2 years, maybe 2.5 years.
Well, no, they said the info said 5 on the way late side, but that's not realistic.
They're not going to lay eggs that long.
That's not realistic.
These particular birds are meant to lay eggs for 2 years, and that's pretty much it. And if you want to incubate the eggs, say you have a rooster and you have fertilized eggs, you want to incubate those and make chicks. The chicks are not going to be as healthy, or they might not have the same qualities or abilities as the parents.
Because they're the hybrid.
Because they're hybrid. ISA browns, the offspring have been known to have kidney problems. So, getting a hybrid bird, while it gives you tons of eggs, not really good for
prepping,
for producing,
homesteading,
right? For homesteading,
because it's not going to continue on.
Exactly. You're gonna have them for 2.5 years, and then you're gonna have to process them and then buy whole new chicks.
That's the thing. That's why. See, we have been, we ride that line because we are preppers, but we're also homesteaders.
Right.
And right now we've made the decision to stick with the hybrids just to fill our freezer.
Exactly.
But if we were thinking more long-term, we should probably go out and get 10 birds that are going to be able to go like that.
Exactly.
Now, one of the breeds that a lot of people like for that reason are the Freedom Rangers.
Well, those are meat birds.
Right, but they're
yeah. We were talking layers. That's why.
Sorry.
But Freedom Rangers are a meat bird, and they are a heritage bird. However, the downfall with those is it takes them a lot longer to get to market weight, which means a lot more food, a lot more time to get them into the freezer. So the birds that we've always chosen are the Cornish cross. Right. Yes, it's a hybrid bird. However, in 8 to 10 weeks, we will have small turkeys.
Right.
We grow our chickens pretty big because we have a big family.
We don't mind that the meat is a little bit on the tough side.
And it's actually not.
It's not really, but
they're
yeah.
not. We have never had problems with chickens that can't get around. Our chickens have always been in chicken tractors, and we move them around every other day. And they've never been too big to move around. So
Right.
they've been great birds.
What I would recommend if you're trying to figure out what breed would be good for you is get one of these books.
This book, actually,
it's fabulous.
2 books, and they're both in the description box. This is The Joy of Keeping Chickens. This has been a fantastic resource. It gives you all of the information that you need. This chart is so thorough. I know it's really hard to see from this distance.
I see.
Yeah, but it has all of the breed. Well, not all of the breeds. It has a majority of the breeds
There's probably a good 80 breeds on here,
Yeah.
70 maybe.
And it goes through what they're good for, if they're docile, what their temperament is, what color eggs they lay, that kind of stuff. This has been a fantastic resource.
Mm-hmm.
The other resource, if you have chickens that are sick or not healthy, this is the one you want. The Chicken Health Handbook.
Mm-hmm.
This goes through it goes through the anatomy of the chicken. It goes through every illness that is possible, and it tells you how to fix it.
Yep.
So this is a fantastic chicken book.
Now I see a question. What are the what are the best for the hot of south? I'm going to defer that to Tyler Woods because I know he lives down south where it's hot, and he can answer that because we did not have chickens when we were in Florida.
Right.
We started when we were in Ohio, so we've never had that.
It also tells you in this book.
Oh, it does?
It does. It tells you the hardiness. So if they're cold hardy, let's see, this is the hardiness. The best temperaments are C is for relatively tolerant to cold. W is tolerant of warmer climates, and T is best in temperament zones.
Let's find some W's.
Find some W's.
W would be Asil, A-S-I-L.
Never heard of that one.
A W would be Crevover.
These are some
Kubalaya.
of them. Some of them are not, in the
Dorking. I'm not kidding.
Some of them are not very common.
Let's see. W's. Polish, red cap. There's a shamo.
We have always, whenever we've had chickens, we've always lived in the north. We lived in Ohio. We had several chickens. We had barred rocks. We had barred buff Orpingtons. We've had Jersey Giants. We've had, what was the other black one? There's another one that's black. I can't remember what it is. But we've had so many different breeds. But I really like the Isa Browns just because they are a high producer. Whatever we can't eat, we can share with our neighbors, and we do, and we share with our food pantry. So for the amount of the ROI, the return on investment,
money you're putting in there,
it's been a fantastic blessing to our neighbors. And we really, honestly, we could sell our eggs, but we don't.
We'll trade them.
We'll trade them for honey from our neighbor. Love that. We got a half a gallon of honey the other day. It was awesome.
Gosh. It's like, take whatever you want, man.
Exactly. Take
Have
the
them
whole
all.
fridge. But, it's been a huge blessing to be able to have the amount of eggs that we have and to bless our neighbors and our friends.
Well, so. and what we don't do with those, if we don't eat them and we don't give them to our friends and we don't trade them to our friends, we take them to the food pantry.
Right.
And we took it was 16 dozen the last time we took it. We take them about once every 3 weeks, I would say.
Yeah, about once a month. Yeah.
And man, I'll tell you what, that's a really huge thing when somebody is in a situation where they have to have food assistance. Usually you're getting stuff that's in a can or in a box. You're not getting fresh stuff. And to get something that's like, hey, this is straight from the farm. These guys, I know these people, they raise these eggs just over there.
Exactly.
That's a huge blessing for people. Yeah. And so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what you need equipment-wise to get started on chickens. But however, No, I'm kind of afraid to click anything. I'm not going to click anything.
Don't click anything.
I'm not going to click anything because it froze up last time.
Don't mess with it.
So to get started with chickens.
Okay, so to get started, if you start with chicks, so say you go up to the feed store and you bring home a half a dozen chicks, which you have to get, usually in different states, you have to have a minimum of at least 6 chicks.
Mm-hmm.
You bring these chicks home. Well, what do you need? Well, first thing you're going to need. What do you need?
What do you need?
You need a plastic storage bin, some bed shavings, not bed shavings, bedding, pine shavings. You need a heat lamp, water, and food.
Now,
that's easy.
But hold on, that plastic tub, I don't recommend that, and we really haven't used one unless you can keep that heat lamp far away from the edges.
Oh,
because
true.
It will melt.
True.
Right. But we've used all kinds of different things. One of the best things we ever used was an old refrigerator.
Yes, we did. We used an old refrigerator. We dumped it on its side, left the top open, and then I put some metal screen over the top of it and hung the light up there. But that's what I was going to say. If you have a plastic tub, make sure it's big enough for the amount of birds you have because they're going to grow quickly. And get an old... No, not old, but like some of the fine square wire, what's that stuff called? Hardware cloth? Hardware cloth?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The stuff that we made that rabbit hutches out of.
Oh, it's just like rabbit fencing.
It's you can have it to where small. It's, small squares so that the chicks can't fly out. But you can put that light right on top of that metal hardware cloth. And it's not going to fall down and catch the chicken, the shavings on fire. It's not going to melt the box, but make sure it's big enough so that the chicks can get away from the heat if they're too hot.
Say that. That's important.
Yeah, just make sure they get away.
And you're going to want some kind of way to get the temperature in there right because if they cannot get away from the heat, you'll kill them.
Yeah, they'll die.
You'll kill them.
And the temperature when you first get them needs to be about 95 degrees. And then every week you can drop it 5 degrees. So you can just pull that the light up higher and higher. And then once they have their full feathers, they're ready to be put into their regular pen. Do not introduce chicks, small birds with full-size birds.
They'll kill them.
They'll kill them.
Yep.
Screen mesh. Thank you, Kat. Appreciate that.
Okay. Scott is asking, do we have livestock auctions here? Yes, we do. I will say, though, that the one that we've been to was kind of upsetting because even though there are a lot of Amish around here, the animals are not treated in a way that I thought they would be.
Right.
It was sad, man. They were selling sick animals that were just... They had a bunch of... We were going to buy hay from an auction, and they also had a dairy auction going at the same time. Yep.
Well, these cows hadn't been milked for at least a day.
They were...
Leaking
huge, milk.
I mean...
Pussy, gross.
It was just sad. I will probably never, ever go to an auction to buy an animal.
Right. It's one of those things where you expect it differently, and then when you get there, you're like, oh my God, why do they do...
Right.
What?
Yeah.
I thought you guys were supposed to be like the wholesome, and they are generally, but I just couldn't. And maybe this is just our only experience, and maybe it's different, but it was not a good experience. I'll tell you that.
No. Okay. No more on that. Talk about chickens. So with the chicks, you need to have water and food. Clean water every day, probably a couple times a day. Now, the best thing to do is to be able to get that water up out of the shavings, because what they're going to do is they're going to kick that shavings right into the water, and the water is going to leach out into the pen, into the tub, and it's just going to make everything soaking wet. Yeah. Same thing with the food. Get the food up off above, not way above, but above.
So they can get to it.
Right, above the shavings, because they're going to fill it with shavings because they scratch around and make a humongous mess.
They are super cute, but they are super messy.
Super messy. Ducks are worse.
Oh my God.
Love ducks, but they are messy. Super gross. Anyway.
So that's what you need for chickens.
That's what you need for chickens. But when you bring your chicks home, make sure that you show them where the water is.
Yes, because you dip their beak in.
Dip their beak in the water, because if they don't know where the water is, they could die. So That's what you got to do when you take it out of the box that you just brought them home in. Dip their beak in the water and then set them down.
Because they'll know.
Yep,
Yeah.
and then they'll be fine. So
Maggie says she can't get a message to. Yeah, well, we're reading it. So.
I see your message, Maggie.
Okay.
We might not have seen it, but if you want to ask a question, please make sure it's in all caps, like your last message there, so that way we can see it.
Right. So now, well, I'm just, I'm getting over a cold, guys. Right. So I apologize for the coughing. Now, when they get a little bit older, it really depends on where you live and how you want to treat your chickens in terms of, do I have a coop? Do I have a coop and a run? Do I have a coop and a run and a bigger yard? Or do I free range them? Well, first things first, you have to have a coop. You have to have a coop, and it needs to be what?
Timeout.
For in the evening.
Right. But when you put your chickens in their coop for the first time, don't let them out for 3 days.
Yeah.
Because they need to know where their home is if you decide to free range. If you just put them in there and open up the door, they're gone. You'll never see them again.
Right.
Keep them inside the coop for 3 days, and then let them out to free range, because then at night they know where to come into roost.
We're not talking about free ranging yet.
No, I'm sorry. I know, but you were talking about chickens in the coop, and I'm like, no, I can't.
Well, we gotta set this up.
Right.
Okay.
I know.
So
chickens are my thing.
We like our chickens.
I love my chickens.
So you got to decide how you want to have your chickens. Like if you live in, say, the Ozarks, and you think you're going to free range, you're not going to have chickens for more than a day or two. You will not. There are predators there that will come and get them, and they'll be gone. So you have to determine what is in your area and whatever level of risk you are comfortable with. So for us here, what we have is we've got a big coop because we had, what is it? It's the silo room. And we changed the silo room into their coop. Well, inside the coop, there's a few things you have to have. If you're going to have layers, they have to have nesting boxes.
Yes.
They have to have them clean every day.
Clean water, clean
food. And you have to also give them a roost because that's where they want to sleep. That's how they feel safe. And for us, we lock them up at night. We've got a door that closes, and we've got metal grating on the window.
Yep.
So nothing except, I don't even think a raccoon could get in there because of the nature of how we have things. It would have to be something really small.
Right.
But that's and then outside we have a big chicken run that's probably 30 by 40, 50. And so that's plenty for these birds.
Yeah.
We clip their wings so they don't fly and jump out.
Right. And then they get scraps from the kitchen. Any, leftover lettuce or, whatever, a cucumber that might be, less than savory, that goes to the chickens, Right. So they really, we don't give them moldy food. We even save our eggshells and grind them up to a powder and give that back to them. Make sure it's a powder though, because otherwise they'll start eating their own eggs, which we've had done before. But
been taking pics. Any advice on growing fodder? We have not. Well, we have grown fodder in Ohio with we had a wheatgrass system, and that was fabulous.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that again.
Well, the only problem is it is a good amount of work. You got to tend it at least twice a day, probably a half hour a day. And then once a week, you got to change the water in the system we built.
Yes.
I know that there's other ways that you can do it. We've seen on Homesteading Prepper Mama or whatever. What's her, Melissa?
Oh, Homestead Mama. Full House Homesteaders with Homestead Mama.
She keeps changing her name on us, so we get confused.
No, it's just long. So, Oh, funny.
Yeah. Well, so basically, what were we talking about? Fodder.
Fodder, yeah.
Yeah, we've done it, and I've seen ways that you can do it where she just basically has her wheatgrass in a tub, dumps water on it, and then it strains out the bottom, and that's how they do it. And that's probably honestly the best efficient way. We did it so that it would be consumable by humans, so that it was not, we had it gradually sloped. So we had the seed there, and it was gradually sloped, and I built a water circulating device so that it would go zigzag down, right? And we did that so that the root systems wouldn't get moldy.
Right. Been taking pics. I wouldn't say it's not worth the time. I would say evaluate your needs.
Mm-hmm.
Is it worth the time? I thought when we had um, rabbits, chickens, and goats, it actually worked out as a huge benefit because we were able to feed it to all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I would take one mat, one seed mat, whatever, and I would take off a chunk, for each of the rabbits,
Mm-hmm.
a chunk like this, give it to the rabbits, give like this much of it to the goats, and then whatever the rabbits didn't eat, they didn't really eat the seed and the roots.
The chickens loved it.
Take that out and I'd give it to the chickens, and
Right.
they went to town on it.
So, funny thing here, Chris Hansen.
Yeah.
What you think about Doug and Stacy's chicken coop design in Missouri? That is a source of contention for me, and I'll tell you why.
Go for it. Yeah.
We're pretty sure that they borrowed our design because I had made that chicken coop the exact same thing, the chicken tractor.
Mm-hmm.
I made it like 3 months before. He watched our video, and then miraculously, all of a sudden, his video was exactly the same thing.
Yep.
So I don't know that for sure, but it kind of was a little bit. Identical. Because I was irritated because it was selfish, because his video went crazy and ours didn't.
And
good for them.
Whatever. It's
good for them. It's just a funny thing.
Yes, we like our chicken tractor design, and we'll probably make it again this year.
Yeah, same thing as before.
Same thing that we made 3.5 years ago.
Little sour grapes, let's just say that. But we bless them in the name of the Lord, and I hope they do well. And they are doing well. They're doing very well, actually. Yeah. So good for them. But anyway.
No, we have not announced the winners of the contest yet.
Donna, we are getting to that soon.
We will. We're almost done talking about chickens.
We're still chatting about chickens.
Yeah.
So if you decide you want to have a chicken run, you're going to need to make sure that you've got whatever level of fencing that you feel comfortable with, because whatever predators are in your area, they're going to get in there if they're hungry. Yep. Unless you built Coop Knox. Yeah. Which is possible.
Yeah, you can do that.
It's pricey.
It takes a lot of money and a lot of time.
Yeah.
And a lot of skill.
Yeah. If you're going to free range, be aware of your surroundings. Be especially aware of what predators are in your area.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny what Tyler says. I fed fodder to our goats until the weather got too hot and flies bred in it. Then the chickens ate the fly grubs. Perfect. Yeah. Extra protein.
Yeah, and there are places you can get, if you've heard of black soldier flies. Mm-hmm. That would be a way that you could feed your chickens for nothing.
Right.
They don't live up here, but I think in the center of the country they live, maybe a little further south. But you can harvest black soldier flies, or even, now this is going to sound gross, but maggots. There are systems that you can put together that you could throw a rotten piece of meat in it, and the flies are going to come and they're going to lay maggots, and then you can just have a funnel and they drop right into your chicken coop. So it's free food.
Yeah.
It's kind of gross. I wouldn't want to do it if the winds were blowing toward your house.
No, we charge us.
Yes, they do. However, there are tons of ways you can feed them for nothing. Like I believe is it Michigan? Who's the one that does he feeds his chicken with the compost pile?
I have no idea.
Okay. There's a channel and I forgot who it is, but this is not our idea, but it's a fabulous idea. Is that he uses a compost pile that whatever he throws in there, as he's growing his compost, that's what the chickens eat off of. Mm-hmm. They get in there, scratch around, so they're aerating the compost. Mm-hmm. They're getting out all the seeds and stuff that they don't want in there anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody was mentioning Premier One being a good fencing. We tried that fencing. It did not work very well. It grounded out way too much.
For us.
The chickens kept getting out. It did not work for us. We find that the hardware cloth, that is the 2-inch by 4-inch square, just a roll of that works, and it's 4 foot high.
Mhm.
It works fantastic.
When we use the metal posts, or they're not step-in posts, they're the ones that you pound in.
T-posts.
T-posts, that's
Yeah,
right.
T-posts work great.
Yep, and we just wrap some wire around them.
Yep.
And that's really honestly not to keep too many predators out, because if something wanted to get in there, they'll probably get in there.
Right.
It's more for the chickens to stay in there and give the rooster a chance to try to defend him and his girls, with enough time for me to get out there with a little bit of lead poisoning for whomever's in the yard.
Right. Well, and those holes are big enough to where bugs can jump through, or mice or moles, they can come through, and the chickens can go after them. But like the chicken wire is not a good thing. It's really flimsy and thin. The hardware cloth is got 12 gauge wire, and it's really made well.
I use wood snow fence. They're in Wausau.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Yeah, they're in Wausau, and that would probably work very well. I've seen people do really cool things with pallets. I've seen some pretty intense pig enclosures made with pallets.
Right.
And so you really just need to analyze what it is that you got going on in your area, and then make the appropriate arrangements, because your system is going to necessarily be different than mine. If you're in, Texas, you have concerns that are different than mine, right? Yeah. So, chickens. If you don't have chickens and you can get chickens, I recommend that you get chickens.
Right. Even in some suburban areas, neighborhoods and things like that, they're starting to allow chickens in neighborhoods. Just check your city ordinance, check your HOAs. I know that a lot of them will allow chickens, no roosters because they're loud. But a lot of them, chickens are relatively quiet until they lay an egg.
Well, then
really
they go,
then
it's a victory dance.
It's a victory dance. It's quite hysterical. Black Australorps, that's the one we had. Thank you, Maggie.
Yeah. So, and I got to tell you a funny story before we move on to other things other than chickens. The reason when we first got chickens, I was working at a hoity-toity church in a hoity-toity neighborhood with very, very wealthy people. Like the heads of the several of the Procter & Gamble company,
GE.
They were there at our church. The guy who runs Procter & Gamble was at our church. The guy that runs Pringles was my son's mentor. And there were several others. And so this was hoity-toity. We could never, ever live there, except for the fact that part of the deal was I got to live in one of the parsonages. Yeah. We did.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're there for a little while, and I had made a good enough impression. And then Mama goes, I'd like to have chickens. I'm like, are you kidding me?
They're not going to let us have chickens.
No way.
Here. It was on a major intersection where the house and the church were, right in the middle of ritzy town, USA.
And our backyard backed up to a park.
A city park, yeah.
And there were tons of parks. They're all connected.
Yeah.
And so I didn't move it, Tyler. Here, I'll point it more toward her.
Okay.
But so she goes, I want chickens. I'm like, they're not gonna let us have chickens. No way.
I'm like, you can have bees. Why can't I have chickens?
So in my mind, I'm going, I don't want to tick my wife off. So I'll just go ask, because the pastor will say no, and then it'll be over. And then I went to the pastor and said, okay, well, I know this is weird, but we want to get a chicken coop.
Right.
And he goes, chicken coop?
So what do you want chickens for?
What are you going to do with chickens?
Right.
And it was like the most foreign thing. I could have just walked in there with the word sucker on my head, and he would have thought that would have been more sane.
That would have been more normal than asking for chickens.
So what I found out was later, he thought for sure there's no way the city will say yes to this. Right. So he figured, I'm not going to get Brad on the bad side. So I'll just say, if the city says it's okay, you can. Just so happens that 2 weeks before they voted, and you could have backyard chickens.
Winning. Yeah, you could have.
Funny.
You could have. Was it 6 or 8? I think it was 8 chickens if you had less than half an acre, which we had less than half an acre. We had a half an acre, so we had 8 hens, and
We bought this triangular coop.
It was a heavy beast. We
Yes, it
wanted to
was.
be able to move it around. That thing was 300 pounds. There was no moving that thing anywhere.
How did we get rid of it? I don't remember.
I don't think we did.
I don't think we left it there. I think we gave it away.
We gave it away to somebody. Yeah, they had to come and get it.
Well, and it was really funny because we were in the parsonage and the backyard had a little fenced area that was probably 40 by 40.
Yeah.
So we had the chickens and then we had a big garden.
A garden was probably
filled the
took
whole
up
thing.
half of it. So,
and then it graduated outside the fence and kept going further toward the church.
Right.
And then we had a community part.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. So Nina, the life of Nina is asking, I have a shed. Could I make a coop out of it?
We've done that.
You can.
We've done that.
That is
Watch
fantastic.
some of our older videos.
Yeah.
Go back and watch some of our older videos because that's exactly what we did. We had one of those metal shed, those cheap metal sheds, and it worked great.
It was perfect. You know, the door, we actually we had the sliding doors, and then just as you walk in, we built another wire wall.
So that you could get in out of the elements.
Right, and open up the door to be able to get in and then shut the door.
Inward.
Right, yes, make sure it goes inward. Don't make it go outward. That was our first mistake with that.
Yeah.
And then we just took 2x4 by 10 foot long, because it was a 10-foot wide chicken coop, and we just put it across the support beams on, that go along the side of the wooden shed. It was or the metal shed. It was perfect.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna probably close the chicken talk tonight.
Okay.
Because we've got a giveaway to tend to.
We do.
Well, it was last Thursday we had a bake off with the Living on a Dime channel.
Yeah.
And we thought a lot of it through, but not everything. It was really funny because the idea was we were going to have a recipe of ours that they would bake.
Right.
And they had a recipe of theirs that we would bake.
Yes.
And then you guys were supposed to vote on it. Well, the issue was, well, wait a minute, am I voting for the recipe or am I voting for which one looked better? And we didn't really explain that.
No, we really didn't. So,
we're giving away a cookbook.
Their cookbook. They gave away our cookbook on their live stream just a little while ago, and I believe, I'm not going to say who it was because I don't know exactly who it was.
We'll find out.
And congratulations to whoever it was.
We are going to give away a cookbook right now.
We are going to give away a cookbook of theirs. So I have on my computer the random picker, and I've already put the link here. Do we want to just turn my computer around?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
You can.
Okay, I can do it now.
I just don't think they'll see it.
Okay.
Okay, so what she's doing is there's a random comment picker, and we've set up the deal was that you had to vote what you thought was the best cake.
Right.
And so she's getting ready to hit go, and it's going to pick the comment.
Right.
And so whomever that comment is going to win a Living on the Dime cookbook.
Right. So drum roll, please, not on the table because of the microphone. There we go.
And it's going. It's thinking. Try it again.
Hello.
Okay, try it again.
Oh, that's YouTube comments.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, do I have to click over here?
No. Click there again.
No, it's just telling me amount of unique commenters. So I have the wrong.
You got a wrong picker.
I got a wrong picker. What is this?
Mm-hmm. You gotta go get a different picker.
Oh, fudgesicles.
She didn't try it.
No, I didn't actually. I'm sorry. Is this
random comment, not for Facebook. You need to type in YouTube up there.
Okay.
Yep. There we go.
This is the lovely stuff of doing things live.
Yeah. There was one right there. Oh, that'll work too.
This
right
one?
there.
This
Looks
one?
like it will. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let me get the link.
Get that link on your mark. Get set and pick.
Go.
It is Patsy Matthews.
Yes, Patsy Matthews won the cookbook. Yay! From Living on a Dime.
Wow, she's saucy there.
Oh my gosh. Well, maybe Patsy didn't win.
Patsy didn't win. She's nasty.
You know what? Yeah, no, that is not a nice comment in any way.
She was vicious. Vicious. We'll give one away to her, but I want somebody else to win.
No, I'm sorry.
She's talking about smashing the cake on our head and divorce.
And then divorce papers and planning our funeral.
She does not win.
Lady, bye.
Get a life.
That was just that. Okay. You know, there's not a lot that really ticks me off. That particular comment ticks me off.
Wow, that was really bad. This one's good.
Okay, I'm gonna pick this one because I actually know this person. Teresa Martin, you win the cookbook from Living on a Dime, not the other gal.
That other gal was like talking about killing me, and then.
Okay, I seriously need to find that comment and just
get rid of it.
Make it go away.
You're gonna have to. Well, that's nothing for now.
Not for now. Okay.
So, Patsy was not being very kind. She was not and actually, she officially didn't win because she didn't vote. She was basically just being nasty. So, okay. Why don't you talk about the Thrive Life sale?
The Thrive Life sale is such an amazing sale.
Bad Patsy, yeah. Patsy does need some Jesus.
Totally needs some Jesus.
You're right. Wow.
Holy smokes.
Well, why don't you're going to obsess on that comment until you find it.
I won't. Okay, so the Thrive Life sale is coming up next week, starting April 23rd at 9 a.m. Central for consultants. There are so many things that are 50% off, 40% off, 30% off. I'm super excited because I can get some of Grace's food half off right now.
And if you guys don't know,
right now, but during the sale.
Well, I'll talk about Grace's food in a second, but finish up about the sale.
So then on April 24th at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, that's important. Make sure it's after 9 a.m. Mountain Time that you place an order for all of this great deals through April 29th at 11:59.
What? You're still stuck.
I'm stuck, guys. I'm sorry.
She's focused on that nasty comment.
And, not very many bug me. That one really bugged me.
Why don't you find it and I'll talk? Because she's not going to be able to focus until that goes away.
Yeah.
So, anyway, the Thrive Life sale. If you are interested, this is the time. They only do this sale twice a year, and I believe there are more than 10 items that are 50% off.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that to be true. I'm not 100%, but then there's a lot more that are 40% off and a lot more than that are 30% off. So if you are interested in getting a hold of some of that stuff, now's the time to get ready for it. If you are interested in becoming a consultant, it's a perfect time to jump on. And I'll tell you what, I did not think that being a Thrive Life consultant was going to be good, to be honest. But it has been so easy. I don't take orders. People just go on the website and order. I don't order the food. They just do it. Everything's drop shipped. I don't have to stock it at the house. It's all drop shipped. All I do is share with people, and then we get a commission. But we also get a commission in free food when you become a consultant. So if you're interested in doing that, then you just email me. There's a link down there in the video description that's our email address, and it's info.bigfamilyhomestead@gmail.com. And so, Patsy may need substance abuse help. Yeah, she might be off her meds. So
blocked and deleted.
Yeah. Jimmy says, Brad, you're still his hero. Karen. Oh gosh.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah. Okay. So can we move on now?
We can move on. I'm going to get rid of that.
I want to tell you an amazing story since about chickens.
Who was it that won?
Are you kidding me? We'll go back and look at the comments. It was somebody you knew.
Teresa Martin.
You might want to write that down. Might want to write that down. Now, our computer's kind of flipping out, so I'm scared to turn this picture, so I'm just going to tell you about it. was it the 60s or was it the 40s?
40s.
The 40s.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1940s, there was a farmer who was getting ready to butcher a chicken. And this is going to be a little bit gross, but it gets okay. And he was getting ready to butcher a chicken, and he kind of botched the job, didn't hit the chicken right, but it took its head off, but the chicken did not die. It didn't die.
Mm-mm.
This headless chicken lived for 18 more months.
Mm-hmm.
Look it up. There's newspaper articles on it. He took it around to fairs. He fed it with an eyedropper.
Kind of gross, actually.
There's a hole.
It's kind of weird.
And he fed the chicken with an eyedropper.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how in the world can this animal live without its brain? But then you look at chickens and kind of go, oh, yeah. I mean, how in the world did that happen? He must have fused some kind of nerves. How could it? Because it walked around. It lived.
Right. Oh, it's so weird. So weird.
He called him, it wasn't Lucky. It was something he called him.
Should have been. Of course, you never want to, name an animal Lucky, like that.
Yeah. Now you can look it up.
So.
Joey, is Thrive Life worth it? I'll tell you what, if you're talking about the food, it's excellent.
I love it.
Bar none.
Mm-hmm.
For prepping food, it is bar none. We've gotten so used to it, we use it almost on a daily basis.
Yeah. No, we do use it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
We use it for our daughter who has she has cerebral palsy, mm-hmm. and she has a G-tube. That's her main diet. Mm-hmm. I take a certain amount of the items. I grind them in the Vitamix
into a fine
powder. I mix it with water, and then there's some milk that goes in there mm-hmm. too. I have to mix it with water first.
Why?
Because it doesn't rehydrate properly with the milk.
I thought it was better with the milk first. But...
Well, no, you got to mix it with water first so that it rehydrate. But anyway, Barbara, hold on, I'm getting to that.
We're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about it in just a second. But yeah, I rehydrate it with water, and it's nice. It's thin enough to be able to go through her G-tube, but thick enough to where it fills up her belly. And it gives her such an amazing. She's so healthy. Honestly, she is so healthy. She used to get sick 4 and 5 times a year. She doesn't get sick anymore.
Okay. TNR has got a question, and Scott's got a question.
Okay.
TNR, how does it compare to homegrown veggies, though? Here's the thing. The way that the Thrive Life food is processed, it's identical to homegrown veggies.
Right.
Because okay, I'll just have to tell you. Like store-bought veggies, when you think you're buying fresh, what happens? Let's take a tomato, for example. Tomatoes are grown to where they're green, and then they're picked before they ripen. Mm-hmm. They stick them in cold storage, and then they could be there a year or whatever until a store or a grocery company buys them. And then they gas them to make them go from green to red. So keep in mind, that's still not full nutrients. Then they're shipped to the store. Then they could sit on the shelf for how long? And so you're buying a product that never had all the nutrients.
Right.
Thrive Life is different. Everything is ripened on the vine. Mm-hmm. Then it's picked because they flash freeze it, and then they freeze dry it within 3 days. Mm-hmm. So it's identical.
And the way it's harvested and chopped up at its peak, mm-hmm. and then it's flash frozen and then dried. Where dehydrated, you have to heat it to dry it. Mm-hmm. Where the freezing process seals in all those nutrients, but then when you dehydrate something, by heating it, you're losing a lot mm-hmm. of nutrients. Mm-hmm. So that's what I absolutely love about freeze dried. Well,
and also to answer Scott's question, the sodium is non-existent.
Well,
unless you have certain ingredients,
right?
That you can buy a regular chicken where it's just chicken, nothing else.
Right.
But then you can also buy seasoned chicken, which has like salt and pepper on it.
Right.
But then even then, the salt content is very low. Mm-hmm. If you're buying green beans, it's just green beans. There's nothing else. There's no citric acid. Nope. Nothing.
Nope. And not the bananas. I can't remember.
Just bananas.
It's just bananas. Broccoli, just broccoli. There's nothing in the fruits and veggies. There's nothing else added. The eggs. There's nothing else added. It is just freeze-dried eggs.
Yeah.
And they're fantastic as scrambled eggs.
Hey, Prepsteader Bob, long time no see, brother.
Yeah, no kidding.
Been watching your videos.
Yep.
He's all of a sudden the big rage, and he doesn't call no more. We couldn't get rid of the guy for 6 months. Every day he's over here, and now all of a sudden he's gone. I'm like, I'm a star. I'm out of here.
Right.
So don't let it get to your head, brother.
No. But yeah, the sodium is not a problem in any of the vegetables or the fruit or even the meats. When you get to the sauces, you got to watch those.
The sauces are truthfully, it's a luxury,
right?
But they are, and they're like a powder. So,
right.
You could always use less, but who's ever going to do that, really?
Right. So it's just, forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, doesn't matter.
So to answer your question, we love the Thrive Life stuff. And because we're consultants, we're able to build up a stockpile of stuff without really much effort at all. Because when you make a sale, you get your commission, but you also get a commission in free food. And so while we're just chugging along, it's like, okay, there's a can of beef, let's buy that. Okay, there's a can of chicken, let's buy that.
Right. We, again, lost what I was going to say.
Thrive Life.
No, I know. We don't buy as much beef and chicken because we raise.
Correct.
But we do have it just on the shelf for just in case. What if we don't have, access to our cows or our chickens, then we have that stuff, say there's a winter storm.
Right.
And we can't get outside or whatever. But whatever, well, it's just whatever.
But the reality for us is what we grow here, we can. But what we buy of the Thrive stuff with our credit is mostly stuff that either won't grow here or would cost too much or would have to have a greenhouse.
Right.
Because we don't have those things. And so we like pineapple. So there's no way pineapple's growing here unless you got a hothouse.
Right.
And it would cost too much and it'd be silly to do it.
Right.
So stuff like that, that's where we go heavy on. Like we have access to cows and pigs and chickens. So we don't really buy powdered egg powder. We don't really buy that.
Right.
We have some just because what if, but it's not like a big staple of ours, but we do load up on the veggies. We probably have, honestly, 3 cases of onions.
Yes, I love the onions.
The onions are great. I don't chop onions anymore. No.
Okay. There was another question. Does Thrive Life offer gluten-free? Most of their items are gluten-free. And they are GMO, non-GMO. I'm sorry. They are non-GMO.
Right.
When I say gluten-free, they are,
everything's labeled incredibly.
Everything is labeled perfectly. All of the fruits and veggies are just that. They are just that fruit or just that veggie. The meat is not combined with anything. It is actually just meat.
Well, you know what, guys? Here's the thing. I see a lot of questions about the different aspects of what's in the Thrive Life. If you're interested, email me and I'll send you a chart that they have. They have every allergy, they name what country the food came from. They name if it's GMO, non-GMO. They label everything.
Yes.
And it's a great chart, and that way you can just go, oh yeah, that works for me, or that doesn't work for me. So, but that again is email at info.bigfamilyhomestead@gmail.com. Because we can't answer all the questions that are coming health-wise.
No.
However, one question I can answer.
That one?
Does Thrive have eggs and bacon? Thrive does have eggs, no bacon.
No bacon. Sorry.
Because the fat content is so high, it would go rancid fast.
They do have ham. However, once you open that can of ham, it will go bad within 2 weeks. So you have to use it up.
Hey, Brad, what percentage do you get off the retail price listed on the website as a consultant? Okay.
That's kind of a hard question.
It fluctuates.
Yeah, it does.
It fluctuates based on what's on sale and that kind of thing.
Right.
The real benefit, and this is what I'm trying to say, the real benefit of being a consultant is, first of all, you get to get into sales early because a lot of this stuff goes fast.
Yes.
Secondly, you're going to make money if you sell stuff, but it's the free food benefit. That's where we're at. That's why, the retail price doesn't really matter. It's like, okay, I sold enough stuff to get another case of blah. And then when we save up our credit, then we get a case.
Right.
So for us, the retail price, it does fluctuate. We don't pay attention to it that much just because we get the free food credit.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right. So we want to talk about Thursday?
Oh, what we're baking. If you don't know, we do a live show on Thursday afternoon, 2 p.m. Central Time Zone. And Mama wasn't really exactly excited with the way that Living on a Dime made our cake.
No.
She didn't measure some stuff and it drove her nuts. We love them. Don't get us wrong.
We love them to death. Our channels are very different. We do more instruction, and we take a lot of time explaining things and why I do certain things. And so that was why. So on Thursday, I'm going to make the carrot cake.
And you can call us OCD. You can call us whatever you want. Yeah. We love Tara and Mike, and we were just teasing them.
Right.
But it's one of those things where it's like, they need to see how we make the cake.
Right. Yes. So, yes, we are going to make the carrot cake on Thursday, 2 p.m. Central. So I'm excited because I love carrot cake.
Carrot cake. Oh, my gosh. It is so good. I will say, though, the Living on a Dime's cake that we made, the Italian cream cake, was stellar. It was really, really good.
So good. And it stayed moist. I ate, we shared a lot of it. We shared half of the second cake that we made with some friends of ours.
And then another half somewhere else.
Well, no, the first cake we shared two-thirds of it to other folks.
The Don.
And then, the second cake, we shared half of it with Claire's friends,
Yes.
Claire's special friends family.
A special friend.
And yes, you will get the recipe on Thursday, but you have to watch on Thursday.
Or you can buy our cookbook now.
You could buy the cookbook.
Which there's a link down below.
So anyway, I ate the last piece of it.
Is it in the cookbook?
The carrot cake?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You goofball.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Stop. So I ate the last piece of the Italian cream cake yesterday. Very small piece, but it was still very moist. And all I did was cover the thing with plastic. I didn't put it in the refrigerator.
Mike DeFazio. And no French fry-sized carrot slivers. Oh, my gracious. Negatory, brother. No.
Anyway.
So, yeah, that'll be Thursday at 2 p.m. Central. And the funny thing about their cake, first of all, their cake was great. Yes. But when we were deciding, okay, what recipe do you want to do? What recipe should you do? We were talking back and forth. She said, oh, you've got to do my Italian cream cake. You got to do my Italian cream cake. Okay. And I was like, great. That's awesome. And I didn't realize there was coconut in it because I hate coconut. This was delicious with toasted coconut. Toasted coconut has changed my life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It takes a long time to toast that coconut. Let me tell you, fellas, it was ridiculous. Yeah. It was probably a half an hour on low in my cast iron pan.
It was so good, though.
It was really good. But you got to just keep watching it and keep moving it so that way it doesn't burn. But, it took forever.
Steve, how about that cabbage soup? Don't you get sassy, bro. No getting sassy.
No. The cabbage soup. I
can only take it for a few days, man.
It's not a healthy soup. It is healthy soup, but not.
I was basically starving myself.
Yeah, he was, and that's not a good way to lose weight.
Let's just say this: that after that, third day, I was enjoying eating raw, cold sauerkraut right out of the can. I was like, really sauerkraut, bam.
No.
So
not me.
No anyway, way. Guys, it's been fun. We're gonna say goodnight here.
Yep.
And do not forget, we've got some good videos coming up. Got some good videos coming up.
Yep.
And Thursday at 2.
We have a treat coming tomorrow.
What's the treat?
What's coming tomorrow? What are you going to go get tomorrow?
Oh. Should we tell?
Sure.
We're getting pigs. And the thing is that I don't know if this is going to be wise or not. We'll see.
We found a really good deal.
We're getting a couple pigs that are already 100 pounds for only $50.
Yeah. Each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're half the way there. We're not getting them bigger than $250.
No, we're not. No. So we're already halfway there. Our cost, our ROI, return on investment, is really great now. So.
Yep. So we'll have video of that.
Yeah.
And if I know anything about us, and I do think I know about us, there will be shenanigans. There's always shenanigans.
There's always shenanigans.
So
funny.
Anyway, you guys have a blessed night, and thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yep. All right. So goodbye. What? Go ahead.
No, you need to do it. You always do it.
Your turn.
No, you always do it.
Okay. I thought Mama was going to do this.
No.
We are a family of believers, and so we like to pray before we say goodnight. And so if you're not, be warned, we're getting ready to talk about Jesus for a second. And you can come back later and we will not be offended. So we're going to say a quick prayer. Father God, thank you so much for each and every one of these people here tonight. Lord, I ask that you would just bless them, that you would reach out and love on them like a dad just loves his children, and let them know they're not alone, that you care for them, you want the best for them. And I would ask, Lord, that you would just encourage them to look more and more to you, to Jesus, to the sacrifice he made so that we can be with him forever, and to choose to have Jesus with us, to have him in our hearts, to have that repentance that only he can provide. It's in your holy name we pray, Lord. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
All righty, guys. Peace out.
Good night, everybody.
Goodbye.